In a world devastated by nuclear war, there are practically no people left. A family survived because many years ago, they settled in the mountains where radiation does not reach. Her father went out in search of survivors, then the younger brother ran away after him, and she was left alone. In the time free from cultivating the land and preparing for winter, Anne visits the town where the radiation is noticeably stronger. Here, she takes books and things necessary for the household. Anne comes here only for a short time, so as not to receive a high dose of radiation. When returning home, she carefully washes off any contamination that could remain on her skin. She has to do everything herself: repair the fence, dig the soil, hunt. She is always alone and tired of it. Last winter, Anne almost died from cold and hunger. One day while hunting, when Anne was checking her rabbit traps, her dog sensed something. He rushed to the road, and when Anne came after him, she discovered a mobile trailer equipped as a traveling home. The girl hid to see who the owner of this trailer was. It turned out to be an adult man in a protective anti-radiation suit with a dosimeter in his hand. He had clearly come from afar and was now incredibly happy to discover land where there is almost no deadly radiation. The man immediately took off his suit and ran to the waterfall nearby. Anne decided too late to come out of hiding. When she found the stranger, he was already bathing in the water. The man got scared and grabbed a pistol, but Anne explained to him that the water source is far from the valley, and therefore it is contaminated with radiation. The man jumped out of the water, but it was already too late. He had received a serious dose of radiation, and the dosimeter confirmed it. He began vomiting. His strength was leaving him, so he quickly explained which drugs Anne should inject into him so that he would not die. Anne had to drag the man herself. In the yard of her house, she washed him and then laid him in bed. The next day, she returned to the stranger's trailer to take the medicine. She brought the trailer to her home and continued to take care of the stranger until he got better. When he came to his senses, it turned out that his name was Loomis. Anne prayed to God for Loomis to recover. Her father had been a pastor. He had built a small church in the valley so that local residents could come there and listen to sermons. In this church, there was an organ on which, from time to time, Anne still played. Perhaps prayers or Anne's care worked. Loomis got up on his feet. He told the girl that he had been a military engineer and had survived only because at the moment of the bombardment, he was in an underground bunker. He himself had designed the protective suit in which he had walked across the whole country, and everywhere he had seen only corpses and ruined cities. Loomis had been ready to give up his search when he found this place. Anne tells Loomis about her brother and father. She shows him photos, and Loomis thinks that her brother's face looks familiar to him. Anne tends the household, milks the cow, takes care of the vegetable garden, while Loomis is recovering from radiation exposure. The girl digs the soil and pulls out stones by hand, although she has a tractor. Loomis asks her about this, and Anne admits that the tractor ran out of fuel, and gas stations without electricity do not work. Then Loomis writes for her instructions on how to start the pump manually, and the girl succeeds. Now they have fuel for the tractor. Anne is very devout, while Loomis does not believe in God. Despite this, the girl is drawn to him, and she lets him know what she wants. Loomis is an engineer, so first of all, he thought about electricity. But the old generator was broken. Then Loomis and Anne go to the waterfall where Loomis had almost died. He says that in this place it is possible to build a working power plant if there is enough wire. You only need to direct the water flow along a chute from there to a wheel to which a generator will be attached. To make the wheel and chute, Loomis proposes to use the church that Anne's father built. But the girl is against it because it is all that is left of him. There are no other materials to build the chute and wheel. Loomis agrees that they can consider other options and not touch the church yet. One of the days, Anne discovers that the hens have not laid eggs. She begins to suspect that someone has entered their yard and stolen the eggs. While Anne works, Loomis goes scouting to the local shop. The girl had already taken almost everything from there, but enough beer remained for Loomis to get drunk to the brim. He could not relax and let off steam. It was hard for him to watch Anne work while he himself could not really help. Anne brought him home where they quarreled. The next day, Loomis had to apologize for his behavior. Anne decided to arrange a romantic dinner with Loomis. She set the table, uncorked a bottle of wine, and lit candles. When the alcohol hit her head, she invited Loomis to dance. During the dance, they kissed. However, Loomis refused to go further, despite Anne's desire. He stepped back and explained that intimacy would only complicate everything. They need to stay together longer before that. Anne does not want to, but agrees. The next day, she went to check the traps. At one of them, she saw a young guy named Caleb. He confessed that he had been stealing eggs because he was afraid that he would be shot if he came out openly to the owners of the house. Loomis took Caleb's appearance with hostility. He checked him with the dosimeter and found a small amount of radiation. Caleb said that he and other miners had been hiding in a mine during the bombardment. He alone survived, but nothing good was reported on the radio. Then he came to the surface and came into this valley. Caleb had lived nearby. Anne had once traveled to a competition at Caleb's school. Loomis sees that these two have much in common, but that does not make it easier for him. Caleb heard that on the border with Mexico, there is a town with survivors. He intends to go there. Loomis is not against it if Caleb leaves, but also insists that he stay with them for several days. He must recover and regain his health. At the table, Loomis tells a story how, on the way here, he met a teenager affected by radiation who begged to be killed, but Loomis could not. He left the boy dying on the roadside. Caleb told that his other fellow miners had been killed by his partner, but for some incomprehensible reason, he spared Caleb. At that moment, Caleb for the first time looked into the eyes of a killer. Left alone with Anne, Loomis confesses that that teenager might have been her younger brother. Loomis had actually shot him, and only thanks to him had Loomis found this place. He simply went in the direction from which the boy had come. Caleb stayed with Loomis and Anne. He began helping with the household. They hunted together with Loomis. And when Caleb learned about the plan with the power station, he convinced Anne to sacrifice the church for it. Together, they dismantled the church building and began to make a wheel and shoot out of it. They also stretched wire from the waterfall to Anne's house. Loomis understood that Caleb liked Anne and that feelings might arise between them. Loomis began to be jealous because Caleb was younger than him and had white skin unlike Loomis's. He thought that for Anne this matters. Loomis lets Anne know that he would not mind if she and Caleb began a relationship, but his words upset the girl. Finally, they managed to install a platform and a wheel at the waterfall. It remained to put the chute on top and direct the flow of water. To celebrate this event, they arranged a festive dinner with wine, then began dancing, and at the end of the evening, everyone went swimming in the pond. Here, Caleb proposed to play a game, whose rules were to find a bottle at the bottom of the pond. He helped Anne grope for the bottle, and they stayed under the water too long. Loomis realized that Caleb was trying to seduce the girl. Loomis was drunk. He was afraid of losing Anne, and therefore when they came ashore, he took her aside and confessed his love. However, at home, Loomis turned out to be too drunk to continue the evening. Anne put him to bed and then went to Caleb. They made love. The next morning, Loomis realized that something had happened between these two. He became jealous and told Caleb that it was he who had asked Anne to sleep with him in order to keep such a valuable worker. Caleb saw that Loomis was saying all this out of jealousy. Together they went to install the chute at the waterfall. Caleb, in a protective suit, went down to fix everything, while Loomis belayed him from above. When everything was finished, Caleb slipped, but Loomis pulled him up. Then the guy fell again, but Loomis again held him. Left at home, Anne rejoiced because now they had electricity. But Loomis returned with sad news. He told her that Caleb had decided to leave them when the chute had been installed. He had asked to say goodbye to Anne, and then had gone to look for that very town where, according to rumors, survivors remained. Anne believed this. She ran to catch up with Caleb, but there was no one anywhere in the valley. While she was gone, Loomis moved the organ from the church into Anne's shed. He arranged here a small island of faith which she so lacked. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe. That helps my channel a lot. See you.